things that you must not do in your job and in your entire career. Sharing all of these from my personal experience. I've been there. I've done every single thing on the list myself. So I know for sure that how much time I wasted doing all of these things. And you can learn from my experience and save yourself tons of time and effort. Let's get started.
But before that, I want to mention that all the links of my services that I provide are always mentioned in the description box of my videos. Please refrain from clicking on any link which is found on some random comment. Please do not fall for all those scams. And I do not take 101 call consultations. I do not take. I'm a full-time working professional. I work as a HR professional with a company full-time. I just provide services via text where you can consult me. You can send me your query via text on my profile page of TopMate, link of which is in my description box. And I do have a HR course where I teach everything about HR in a layman language so that a beginner can also understand. If that is something that interests you, you can check the link only in the description box of my videos or the comment that I pin myself in my videos. Other than that, please do not fall for any scam link.
So let's begin with our number one point, which is nodding your head in yes when you are actually not understanding anything or you are not agreeing to what is being discussed in front of you. I myself have been there and have been guilty of doing this for the longest time, I remember. And I had the mindset that if I disagree or if I share my genuine opinion, then it will be harmful for my image or maybe my growth in the company. But let me tell you, doing that yes when you actually do not understand anything is actually very harmful for you in comparison to whatever you are thinking in your head about the scenario, that what could go wrong. Why? Because the other person, whoever is discussing it, assumes that you understand everything and you will deliver the task, the project accordingly. And you, on the other hand, come back to your desk thinking, I don't understand anything. I don't know how to do it. And then you start thinking, to whom should I approach for help? To whom should I ask? And honestly, asking questions from the person who gave you the task in the first place is much, much easier than going to someone and narrating the whole incident that this manager or senior manager has asked me to do some weird stuff, but I'm not sure how to do it. There's a very high chance that you will deliver it wrong. You will do the task wrong and then it will impact your performance. And mind you, nobody will consider the fact that it's because you didn't understand the assignment correctly. Everybody will assume that you understood, but you're dumb, you're a poor performer, you don't know how to do the task. And then that will impact your growth in the company or in whatever situation you are much more than you are thinking. So from my personal experience, I suggest no matter who is sitting in front of you, who is assigning you the task, make sure that you always understand it fully. Only then come back. Until then, keep asking questions. There is nothing wrong in asking questions, even if you ask 100 of them. It's better to sound curious at the moment than sounding stupid and dumb person later when you deliver it all wrong. Second thing that you must not do is never ever internalize critical feedback. By critical feedback, I mean negative feedback. Now, we all have received negative feedback at some point in our life, in our job. And negative feedback many times, if not shared properly, can destroy one's confidence and even impact the level of performance. So we should always remember that the feedback is for the task that you delivered. The feedback was for particular thing that you are doing, or maybe feedback is that you are not able to perform in the role that you are in. We never internalize it thinking that it is directed to you as a person. Even if it is sounding so at the moment, even if the person is deliberately making you feel that way, but your responsibility is to create a wall and do not assume that it is for your personality, it is for you as a person. Always remember that that critical feedback is for a particular task, it is for the job, it is for the delivery, and if there is anything in it on which you can work on, which can help you improve on your deliverables, good enough, take that. If not, then brush it off. There's no use of taking that feedback with you at your home or discussing about it with your friends, family. There's no use. You are just extending the impact of that negative feedback on your mind. So do not do that. Another very bad impact of internalizing the negative feedback is that you become very bitter over time. If you're continuously receiving negative feedback, there's a high chance that you will develop certain kind of bitterness, and then from there on, even if somebody is giving you some suggestion, advice for your good, and it's not like a negative feedback, to you it will still sound a negative feedback. Why? Because you're coming from the place of insecurity and you do not have enough confidence within you, because that bitterness will overshadow everything, and then you'll stop learning, you'll not be able to scale, and you'll stop growing any further in your life. Forget about your job or career, in your life as well, you will stop growing. Now, the most important point on the list is never see your job as a destination. Doesn't matter how high it's paying you, doesn't matter how fancy the job title is, doesn't matter if it is the biggest brand in the world you are working with. Never see your job as a destination. Destination as in that you feel like you have settled down here, it's a good enough job. Now you will build your castles around the income of that job and you depend on that job so much. Never ever do. And if you are doing that, that's the biggest mistake of your life. You'll be never able to reach your financial freedom if you have that mindset for any kind of job. Job is just a job for you to earn your living. It's just another source of income. You have to complete certain tasks, you get paid for it, and after that you go home and live your life. That job is not your life. Most of the people, when they find a job which sounds pretty stable to them, it may or may not, but to them it appears to be stable and good paying job, then they stop doing everything else. They just focus on that job and they feel like they have settled, and then they start counting so much on that job that they take huge home loans, huge liabilities, just because the job appears pretty stable and good enough to them. That is the biggest mistake, because the reality is really far from that. The company doesn't think that way. When a company hires an employee, the company doesn't think, oh my god, we have found the perfect employee and till the time this company exists, this employee will exist. Company doesn't think that way. If tomorrow the project that you are deployed on is going away, the company will not even think twice before firing you. That is the reality. So never ever build your dreams around a source of income. If the source of income is good enough, very good. Invest it somewhere else so that you can build multiple sources of income with the help of that big money that you are receiving now. Do not indulge into the thought process that I have arrived. Now this is it. I do not have to do anything else. Do not indulge into that mindset, because that will not work out in longer run, and that's not how things work in today's time. Things are very different. Next point is very interesting, and that is never give away your power. Now you might think, what power do you have? Well, we all have powers, at least for ourselves, and giving away power means that you are letting others dictate your actions, which means that the other person has so much confidence that if they say this sentence or they say this word, they are 100% sure that you'll react in a certain way after listening that word or sentence. That is giving away your power. They already know how you'll react. They already know that how you'll respond. They know you already, and that is a very dangerous place to be in, because then people will use you for their own advantage. They will take you for granted. For example, your manager for sure knows if he or she tells you that, hey, I'm thinking to give you a promotion, like just a verbal note, a verbal statement, then the manager is 100% sure that you will work 16 hours every single day straight for the next 3 months, basis that statement. That is giving away your power. You should keep that power to yourself. You should behave or react or respond the way you want to, not in accordance to what other person wants you to behave. I hope I'm making sense. People trigger other employees saying something that they know will baffle them, and they do it on purpose, and the person gets triggered, and then the outcome is not really good for the person who is reacting negatively. Then nobody investigates that why that person was triggered at the first place. Nobody cares about the reason. People only see outcome. Similar to this one, our next point is never let anybody step on your boundaries. When I started my career to appear to be useful or helpful, I often used to say yes to everything. As in, if I'm about to leave and a colleague came in and asked for help on certain tasks because they have to leave on time, I used to say, okay, I can help. And then slowly I realized that it became a pattern for those people. I mean, they came back for help every now and then, again and again. I was frustrated, obviously, because then I had to sit for longer hours and finish the work, and it wasn't helping me. It wasn't my job to finish those tasks, and I was literally putting more hours at office just so that somebody else can grow, because ultimately those tasks will be counted on the other person's name. I wanted to say no, but I was afraid that if now I say no, it will look bad because initially I said yes for the help. See guys, the biggest advantage of being in such situation in a corporate setup is that nobody can force you to say yes to a job or task which is not yours. You can always say no, and yes, there are ways with which you will come across little less rude or not rude at all. For example, in such a scenario, you can always combine the no with something which is positive. For example, in this scenario which I just narrated, if I help the person one or two times and now I am frustrated, I do not want to do any more help, then what I could have said is, oh, the other day I had some time in hand because nothing major was there at home, but usually I have to leave on time because I have things to take care at home. For example, kids or something else that you can mention, or anything. So here what just happened is you explained the reason why were you able to help the person the other day, and you can help in future as well if provided that situation is there that you have some time in hand. But usually you do not have time in hand, so mostly it's a no. So it's a little nicer way to say that, hey, please do not bother me, do not come back to me again and again for help. Find somebody else or do it yourself. Next point on the list is never settle for less. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times in my videos that post maternity, when I wanted to start back, I was getting offers which were way lesser than what I was earning when I left, and I wasn't okay with that. People around me, my colleagues, old colleagues, my friends, family, told me to accept them because those offers were giving me a comeback, which was true. But I personally never felt good about those offers, and I couldn't understand how a gap of a year and a half would impact my ability, my experience of so many years negatively. I mean, that was a bullshit reason to offer less money to someone just because they are on gap. So you can be in a similar situation or in a very different situation where you feel that the offer that you're getting is not worth it, or you feel like you're settling for less, you're compromising there, and the amount doesn't do a justice to your worth. If you feel that way, believe me, you do not have to agree with that. You do not have to take that. Do not settle for less. I didn't. And I continued my search, and I found something which was much more in alignment with what I always wanted. It happens all the time. It's a game of your mindset. People around you will tell you, obviously your family and friends want good for you. They are suggesting just so that you can start back early, or you are not frustrated, or they feel you can grow back quickly. All of that stuff is there. But if internally you are not feeling it worth, then do not settle for it. Look further, and I'm sure that you will find something that resonates with you even better. Now, moving on to our next point on the list, which is again a mindset thing, and that is never ever live with the mindset that this current job is the only option I have in my life. If this goes away, I'll be miserable, my life will be ruined, all of that stuff. Please do not live with that assumption, because if you live with that assumption, more or less that will be your reality, and then it doesn't matter how frustrated you feel inside, how abusive the people are in the company, you will have to stay in the same company if you have this mindset. Because come on guys, we all know when we are in that negative mindset, we feel that this job is the only option. But try talking to somebody else. They'll give you 100 other options because they are not so zoomed in that situation. They can see other options that you can pursue in your life, and it will not be that bad. But because you're so zoomed in, so focused into that job, and you feel like this is the only option, if it goes away, nothing will work out in my life, that is a negative mindset. That is a limiting belief. once you zoom out from that mindset, you will start seeing other opportunities around you, and you will then not hesitate to walk away from a toxic job which is impacting your health, your emotional well-being negatively, because that's a huge issue in today's time with so much workload where the leadership is expecting you to work 90 hours per week. In such a scenario, it's high time that you take your own responsibility. You take responsibility of your health, your well-being, and keeping yourself away from this limited mindset that this job is the only option is the least thing that you can do for yourself, for your well-being. Now, the last point on the list is never ever stop learning. And by learning, I do not mean that you keep learning the new technology, keep learning every new course, every new certification. No. By learning, I mean do not stop growing. Do not limit yourself to that just one job that you know how to do. Keep learning other things as well in your life, so that tomorrow if you have to walk away from that job, you have something that you can count on. And this learning only will give you that confidence that you do not live in a mindset that, oh, this is the only job in the world for me. Your continuous learning and putting effort into your skill building will help you to have a healthy career, or I should rather say have a happy career. If you are getting a chance to learn something new which interests you, which is in alignment with your interest, then please go for it. Do not think that, oh, this doesn't have any ROI on my current job. That doesn't make sense. I mean, you have a whole life. You are not just your job title. So every single learning that you take shouldn't be just for the sake of that job or that job role. So if you are getting a chance, if you're interested in something, go for it, pursue it, learn it, have fun with it. So guys, that was it. These were the things I wanted to share from my own experience that I feel I wasted so much of my time on. If you have been in similar situations, or you think you have done something which could have been avoided, then please share all of that in the comment section. I would love to read your comments, especially your stories, your experiences, and that way it will help so many other people as well who read your comments. So with that, I'm signing off. You keep on watching more content on the Corporate Diaries, and I will see you in my next one. Till then, stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye.